Hey everyone, welcome to the Best Hair podcast, where we share honest conversations, actionable insights, and real stories to support not just your career growth, but also your life journey. I'm Gabby Eichenlaub, your host for today. Let's get started. So much of how we grow, both professionally and personally, comes down to two things: the people who support us and the quiet impact we leave behind as we move through the world. But in the daily grind of meetings, checklists, and getting things done, we rarely pause to really notice the people and patterns shaping our growth. For today's episode, let's slow down and take a closer look at both. We're going to walk through two powerful reflection tools that are at the heart of what we do at Best. These frameworks are meant to help you better understand your growth, name the support systems holding you up, and recognize the impact you're already making, even when it feels quiet or behind the scenes. So much of what we do in our work and even in our personal lives can become about getting through to the next thing, the next deadline, the next part in the family routine, the next big decision. And when we're in that mode for too long, it's easy to miss the context around us. It's the quiet but constant presence of support and impact. The people who are walking alongside us, cheering for us, challenging us, and the ways we're doing that for others, whether we realize it or not. When we're moving fast, we stop noticing. We default to measuring progress by outputs: how many things we checked off, how visible our work was, how well we kept up. But there's a different kind of progress happening in the background. It shows up in the relationships that give us energy or clarity, the conversations that nudge us to think differently, the ways our presence shapes the room before we even speak. These are the things that are often left out of the resume or your bio. Our session with Best members this month highlighted not just who's been there for you, but also what you've been building through your presence, your choices, and your consistency, especially when it feels like no one's watching. And that's what we want to do today in this episode. Let's zoom out and start to notice the patterns, the support that's held us together, and the legacy that we're quietly building. And let's carry that awareness and intention forward. Let's start off by mapping your web of support. The web of support is a reflection tool to help you look at your relationships and support system across 4 areas. So many of us are navigating leadership, growth, or change without really pausing to name who's helped us get there. And even more importantly, how they helped. It's easy to think about support in broad strokes, like having a good network or people you trust. But this framework breaks it down into distinct types of support that often show up in different ways, depending on where you are in your life or career. First is mentors. When we talk about mentors, we don't mean just formal, assigned relationships. Sometimes a mentor is someone who's ahead of you in experience or perspective, but sometimes it's just someone who makes space for your growth. They ask you the hard questions, they nudge you to apply for something before you feel ready, or they tell you the truth that you've been avoiding, but they do it in a way that still feels supportive. Some mentors are consistent and present. Others show up for one important conversation, but leave a lasting impact. Take some time to really think of someone who's helped you pause and reconsider what's possible for you. What did they open up for you? Next, we have our peers. Peers are the people walking alongside you. They're in a similar life stage, role, or mindset, and that shared perspective makes things feel lighter, more doable, and just a little more human. They're the text after a hard meeting, the coffee chat that turns into a mini strategy session, the friend who doesn't try to fix everything, but just gets it. This kind of support is easy to miss because it doesn't always look like professional development, but it absolutely shapes how we move through challenges. Take some time to think of a peer who's helped you feel seen or less alone this year. What do they bring into your life or work that you didn't even realize you needed? Third, we have our partners. Partners are the people that you're actively building something with, day in and day out. They're not just supportive, they're in it with you as well. They could be a co-founder, a teammate, a collaborator, maybe even someone at home who's sharing the weight of the things you're working toward. This role is about shared responsibility. They help carry the emotional or strategic load. They make things possible because you don't have to do them alone. Think of a partner in your life or work, someone you count on not just for encouragement, but for follow through. What does it allow you to do knowing that they've got your back? The last area that we want to focus on are networks and communities. These are the broader spaces where you feel connected, where you don't have to explain your values because they're already understood. It could be a professional organization, an identity-based group, or something like VEST, a space where you don't have to prove your credibility because it's already understood. These communities often offer a broader sense of belonging, ideas, and perspective beyond your immediate circle. Think of a community or group where you feel aligned. What kind of energy or perspective do you walk away with when you engage with them? The point of mapping out your web of support isn't to stress over who counts or whether every relationship group is full. These patterns and groups will shift over time. There may be a time where your peer circle is strong, but you're craving mentorship, or a time when you're deeply connected to community, but lacking a reliable partner on a project. Having the right people around you can make the difference between burnout and breakthrough. Remember, a solid support system provides perspective when you're too close to a challenge, accountability when you're striving for your next milestone, encouragement when your self-doubt creeps in, and connection when things feel isolating. Naming what's there and being honest about what you need more of can help you move into your next season with more intention. You might even realize you're playing one of these roles for someone else and that you're part of their web. Now let's talk about creating your legacy map. And this one might feel less familiar because we don't often think about legacy until the end of something, the end of a role, the end of a chapter, the end of a career. But what we found is that your legacy is already in motion, whether or not you've taken the time to notice it. Too often, we end up underestimating our influence, especially if we're not in traditional positions of power. But mapping your legacy helps you recognize your impact, both past and present, lead with intention in your daily actions, feel more connected to your values and goals, celebrate progress, not just milestones, and shape the future for those who come after you. And the earlier you start tracking this, the more intentional and fulfilling it can become. The legacy map is designed to help you reflect across 4 areas of impact. First, the people that you've impacted. This is about the individuals whose paths have shifted, sometimes just a little and sometimes a lot, because of your influence. It might be someone you formally mentored, or someone who stepped into their voice because you held space for them in a meeting. Maybe it's a colleague who took a leap after a casual chat with you, or someone who simply said, "You made me feel like I belonged." Sometimes we don't realize the impact we've had until someone reflects it back to us. It might have been a quick comment, an unexpected thank you, or even a small shift you didn't know mattered until they mentioned it. What have people told you they appreciated, noticed, or felt supported by in your interactions with them? Take some time to think. What have people told you they appreciated, noticed, or felt supported by in your interactions with them? Next, we have the norms that you've shifted. Think about when you've quietly changed the way things have always been done. Maybe it was setting a boundary that others started to mirror. Maybe it was advocating for equity in a space that never acknowledged it before. It could even be how you run meetings, changing the tone, pace, or who gets heard. Sometimes shifting norms isn't about a big gesture or a grand act. It's about choosing to speak up when others stay quiet, trying something different when the old way wasn't working, or just showing people that another approach is possible. These moments can influence how others behave, even if you didn't set out to make a statement. Take some time to think. Has someone ever told you that your actions help them see a situation or themselves differently? What did they say shifted because of you? The third area to focus on is the practices that you've modeled. This one is less about big moments and more about consistency. This is your everyday example, the stuff people watch you do and carry with them. Maybe you lead with empathy. Maybe you're the one who celebrates others' wins in quiet, meaningful ways. Maybe you're the person who normalizes asking for help or shares your boundaries openly. These are the habits that add up. People often mirror behaviors that feel grounding, human, or effective, and we don't always realize we've set that tone until someone mentions it. Take some time to think. What's something someone has said they started doing because they saw you do it, or because your approach gave them permission to? The last area we want to focus on are the systems that you've strengthened. Let's talk about the spaces and systems you've helped shape, especially the ones where your influence isn't always front and center. Maybe it was a messy process you helped clean up, a team dynamic that felt heavy until you stepped in with a different approach, or a system that finally started working because you spoke up, gave feedback, or took the lead on something no one else wanted to touch. These aren't always glamorous moments. In fact, they're often behind the scenes, but the ripple effects are real and often long-lasting. So take a moment and reflect. What's one system, process, or team dynamic where someone has recognized your role in making it clearer, calmer, or more effective? Remember, legacy is often quiet and it rarely announces itself in real time. But when you map it out like this, you start to see your leadership more clearly. You realize that even in seasons where things felt messy or uncertain, you are still making a difference. This kind of reflection doesn't just boost your confidence, it helps you lead from a place of grounded awareness. It also helps you decide what kind of legacy you want to keep building, because once you see what's already there, you have more agency in shaping what comes next. When you take the time to map both your web of support and your legacy, you start to see your journey in a different light. You see where you've been supported and where you've created space for support for others. This kind of reflection isn't about building a perfect map or naming every person or moment. It's about recognizing the texture of your path so far, the support that's lifted you up, the choices that left a mark, and the work that may not be flashy but mattered deeply. And maybe, just maybe, it helps you move into what's next with more intention because you're anchored in what's already true. So here's your challenge. Before this week ends, reach out to one person in your web of support. Thank them. And then write down one part of your legacy map you're proud of. Name it. So whether you're at a turning point or just need a reset, I hope today's tools gave you space to reflect honestly, lead with intention, and feel a little more connected to your impact. Thanks for listening and for being part of the conversation. At Vest, we believe change starts in community, and your presence matters here. Until next time, keep leading with intention, even in the small moments. For our web of support and legacy mapping tools and show notes, go to www.vesther.co/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and don't forget to leave us a review. And if you're ready to take your career to the next level, consider joining our community of powerful women eager to help you get there and stay there. To learn more, go to www.vesther.co.